Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Making Moves. I am so excited about today's guest. I'm here with the internet's mom, Mrs. Sarah Zeiler.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing so great. I'm so excited you're here.
I'm so happy to meet you in person because I'm such a fan.
No, I'm such a fan. I told Ellie, I was like, Ellie, I love you, but I'm sick and obsessed with your mom.
No, it's mutual. I need to ask you before we keep going, how is 75 hard going? Because you're the only person that I know that I follow that seems to really be sticking with it.
Really?
Have you? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't follow a lot of people that are doing it, but I still am like very invested in.
You know what? I am.
You look great.
Thank you.
Your skin's amazing.
I feel it in my skin and my body, honestly.
Yeah.
Just and like mentally. Like I feel mentally really clear right now.
What from what part? Is it the not drinking? Is it the fitness? Is it, what do you think?
Definitely the not drinking.
Okay.
That's huge. I also think because I'm on such a strict routine, which I have to be honest, right now in this moment, like the last couple of days, because I just got back from Miami for a work thing, it threw me off. Like, I feel like it's hard to get back into it. I did it one day.
Okay.
And then the other days I was just working, like, I just couldn't. And I was traveling and stuff. But it's hard to get back on it. Once I'm on it, I'm like, I'm ready to go. But
well, and you've come a long way.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we're on, like, I don't know, like day 35 right now.
Wow.
Which is, like, basically.
40 more to go.
Yeah. Basically halfway. So, yeah,
do you
I'm enjoying
feel
it.
like after 75 days, this will become a lifestyle? Or are you like, day 76, I'm going to the bar and I'm getting after it?
I am definitely sober curious.
You are.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever go full-blown sober, but like so I tried 75 hard last year and I stopped it about this time because I got strep throat 2 weeks in a row because it didn't go away the first time. So it really threw me off, and then I did 75 medium and I just didn't accomplish the whole thing. So that's why I wanted to do it this year, because I love a fresh start and I really wanted to finish it the correct way. After I did that, it made me realize how easy it is to not drink. Like, I'm just such a social, extroverted person that, like, I definitely don't use alcohol as a crutch. It's more so that, like, I can feel loosey-goosey and, like, make more of a fool of myself on the dance floor, I guess. But I'll do that sober. Like, I really will. So, I guess, I'm definitely sober curious, but I don't think I'll ever fully go sober just because it's not, like...
You don't have a problem to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, like, do enjoy a cocktail here and there, or, like, a glass of wine. But that's the easiest part for me, is giving up the drinking.
For you.
The hardest part is getting, like, a second workout in, especially an outdoor workout during the rain. Like, I'm like, God bless people who live in Seattle. Like,
how do they do it?
How do they do 75 hard or just live?
I know. No, I agree.
It's
when you
crazy.
live in a cold climate and you see people who are in shape, you're like, wow.
I know. I'm like, I want
amazing.
when I'm in the cold is like lasagna.
Oh,
and like to not
like,
work out,
go in a basement. And just not see the light and eat.
Exactly.
And watch TV.
Yeah. I really respect people in colder climates that like get their workouts in.
I do too. I see this girl that works for Maybelline. I follow her, and she has like her own account, and she's a runner, and she'll be like posting running through Central Park.
No, it's insane.
It's
the runner
below zero, and I'm like, you're just cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
You're just a different breed, and you're built for this. There's something in you that just pushes you out.
They're built different.
Yeah, you can't live without it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I had a little of that in me.
Really?
It's
Are
tough
you
to get routines back for me?
Do you have a solid routine, or are you kind of all over the place?
I wouldn't say I'm all over the place. I'm an early riser, so I'm up like between 5 and 6, sometimes even earlier.
That is very Kris Jenner of you.
I fall asleep really early too because of that. And I've never been a late night person. I've always said like I could go out until 5 o'clock in the morning, which I did for a long time in my younger years. And I would be like up at, I would be up at, I banged the table.
So fine. She's like,
I would be up at 7, like tapping my fingers, waiting for my friends to wake up so we could rehash the night. I wake up early. I've always woken up early. It's the way I'm programmed, and I'm so glad because I think it serves me well in life.
Yeah.
So routine wise, I I go through phases, especially with working out, and I am not in one right now. Like,
It's hard
for
to get
me,
back in it.
the first thing in the morning workout is the only path to success. And if I say I'm going to take a 9 o'clock class or a 10 o'clock class and get a bunch of work done before then, I'm never getting to that class.
Oh, really?
No, never. It's just that I get in a groove and I get busy. And so it really is. I've gone through years where I've been up at like 5 and I go to the gym or I go to a workout or whatever. And that's when I feel my best and when I'm the most fit. But I've done it all. I've gone through like major hardcore boot camp stages of my life. I've been a spin girl. I've done I've done a lot of half marathons, not marathons, but
Oh my gosh,
just, like,
half marathon is crazy.
that's a big deal for me. I mean, I didn't
Oh my
grow
gosh,
up
yeah.
athletic at all, so I just feel like, I do my best.
What workout do you feel like has been the best for your overall health?
I think hot mat Pilates. At least been doing hot Pilates with the reformer.
Okay.
I guess that's a big thing here now. Hot mat Pilates to me is the best workout for anybody's body. Like, it's core, it's stretching, it's
Full body.
it's full body, it's body weight. You can't really get hurt. Unless you really do something crazy. There's cardio. It's perfect. It's the perfect workout for me.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
maybe I need to get back on my Pilates grind.
Maybe. And because you get the cardio in.
Yeah.
Pilates really bores me otherwise. I want to be
I
a
do
Pilates
agree.
girl. I just think it's so boring. And you
It is
kind of walk
boring.
out depressed. You don't get a cardio. Like, right? You
Yeah.
do that reformer and you're like, I don't know what it wasn't good.
I love feeling like, holy shit, I can't believe I just did that from a
Same.
workout. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a beast.
Oh, you're doing F45,
Yeah, I
right? How
love-
do you do? I've never
Love.
done it.
Oh my gosh, you would love it. I think.
would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been afraid of getting hurt doing it because I'm,
Well, you know what I
it's
love
like,
about
not
it?
like CrossFit, is it? 'Cause
No, no, no.
CrossFit, like, I did
CrossFit's
that
way more
I tried
intense, I
that
feel.
too. Yeah.
It's similar in this like type of workout because it is HIIT and
Which I
cardio
like.
and they have 2 days. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays are strength training, but the
Okay.
rest are HIIT. And the thing I love about it is that every class is different, and it's amazing because like if there's a station you don't like, it's like not that deep. You're there for 45 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus like
I like that.
Orange Theory, it's a lot of running. And I don't know, for me, like I want to go to the purpose of going to class is to do stuff I can't do at my own gym
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. I
And
felt that way with Orange Theory
That-
too.
yeah, that's why I like F45 is because the cardio is just a little different than if I were to run on a
Right.
treadmill because I do a lot of treadmill work like just at
I
my
love
own
the
gym.
treadmill.
Me too.
I love it.
I love like a 12-3-30
Me too.
or all the
Yeah.
things. Shout out
too.
Lauren Giraldo.
Yeah, I
Um,
love it. I love that you can do interval, like
Yes.
sprints is my favorite.
Yeah. Oh my
Just to,
gosh,
like,
wow.
walk and then do a sprint. Well, it feels so good. You can just
It
like
does.
bust it out.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
And I like for working out, I want to feel like I really worked my body out.
Yeah.
Like I want to feel like a beast. Like
That's how
I want to
feel.
get
Well, It's
strong.
the mental part of it too.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's the endorphins,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yeah. Okay, well, I have so many questions to
Okay.
ask you. Let's travel back a little bit to
Yes.
your childhood.
wow. Okay.
So you were born and raised a Midwest girl.
Well, I was born in California.
Oh, you were.
But my whole family's from Chicago. My parents moved to LA before I was born.
Get out.
And then ended up in Santa Barbara, and that's where I was born.
Okay.
And then we lived in Northern California until I was 9. And then my parents had long been divorced, and my dad was raising me. And he got a job offer in Chicago and was like, this is a way better place to raise a kid.
It is.
Especially, we
Yeah.
lived in a little beach town in Northern California. He loved it, but he worked a lot and he commuted. And I was like a latchkey kid by 7. Seriously.
Wow.
Like 7 or 8. That's how it was. We were just on our own.
Wow.
And it was the same when we got to Chicago, but he moved me there. And I think it's what I'm most grateful for. I'm so glad I grew up in the Midwest. I love it.
So do you feel like you're a Midwest kid?
Yes.
Truly? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I've lived in California again. In fact, I met my husband in New York 25 years ago, and he was like, oh, I'm from San Diego. We met in a bar in New York. He said, I'm from San Diego. And I said, oh, nice. I'm never living in California. I had no interest in being back here. And I've lived here now for 23 years. And
That's what love does to you.
I know. It's just, I really love the Midwest. I love the East Coast. I love New York. I don't know that I love like the entire East Coast, but I do really like the Midwest. On the other hand, I don't know how you feel, but I don't think I could go back. I don't know that I could live in Chicago again, but I spent years fantasizing about it. Like, I want to raise my kids there. I want to be in the suburbs. I like the way they live. I think it's a great place to grow up.
Absolutely. I think it's a fantastic place to grow up. I loved my childhood. And it really is the all-American movie suburban childhood. Like the soccer practices, the carpooling, the orange slices. Like it's it really is out of a movie.
You do get that here. And that's how my kids have grown up in San Diego. We did it all the sports, all the teams, all the birthday parties and all of it. It's all the same. It's more of a personality thing and just a culture. When I meet people from the Midwest, I know it immediately.
Really?
I can hear it in your voice, and it feels to me like we grew up together. We just had a very similar experience growing up, and I don't know that that's the same for people who grow up in California.
So you moved to New York at what age?
I moved to New York at 24. I met my husband at a bar when I was 24.
And that's when you moved to
I was
New York?
working at a PR firm in Chicago.
Okay.
And my job sent me to New York all the time. And I was planning to move there. My boss was going to be okay with it. And I was going to figure out the timing. And I met my husband, and he was living there at the time. He lived in San Diego half the year and in New York half the year because of his job. He worked for the chairman of a company who went back and forth. And I just I sped it up by a few months, and we fell in love, and he was like, you can move in with me. So I did, and it was crazy.
What?
I told my boss I'm moving to New York with or without the job. He said, you can have your job. We'll figure it out. We'll get you an office.
Shut up.
Yep. And put me in an office, and I moved into a studio apartment, literally the size of this room, with my new boyfriend. And
oh my gosh.
It's incredible that we survived and made it. It's crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah. And I was 24.
What's the age difference between you and your husband?
A year.
A year. So
Yeah.
is he
So he was 25.
25? Okay.
Yeah.
And what you were doing PR at the time?
I was doing PR. So I started at a PR firm in Chicago. I decided I wanted to go into PR. I didn't finish school. I hardly went to college.
Okay. Where did you go for a little?
Just a community college,
amazing.
and then Columbia College. I took a class, but
Oh, wow.
I just wasn't. I had a very, very rocky childhood. We moved a lot. I'm an only child. My dad remarried.
Oh my gosh, you do not seem like an only child at all.
don't?
My mom's an only child.
Really?
I can't wait for you guys to meet because I'm not kidding you, you're going to be besties.
When we get to talking about Indiana, I was driving here and I was like, I need to tell TK that I need her mom to look out for my son, who is most likely going to IU next year.
She absolutely will, and she's a professor at the Kelly School.
Oh, that's where he's
business.
going.
Oh my
He's
God.
going to Kelly.
Yeah, they have to. When you visit, you guys should meet
We're going
and hang
in a
out.
few
You can literally stay at her house.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I want to talk about meeting your husband.
Okay. I go to visit my roommate, my former roommate, and we went out. We were just going from bar to bar, and his friend started talking to me, and I wasn't interested in his friend, and he came up, and the funny thing about Rick is he wasn't my type at all.
What was your type?
I was just I liked kind of more bad boys, and that sounds so corny to say, but I just
I mean, who
I was
doesn't?
dating a super Chicago Italian guy before him.
Okay.
And before that, kind of also not just more of a I don't know, not troubled, but just a darker,
Okay.
but fun to be with, loved going out all the
thrill.
time.
Yeah.
Fat, just like to party, like to be out all the time. That was my type. It wasn't sustainable as a type to marry.
Mm-hmm.
I also was 24. I wasn't trying
Looking
to
to
land
marry.
a husband. I
Yeah.
just, wasn't looking for that. But we met, and it was really one of those moments where I don't know if I was his type either. Like we just started talking, and
At a bar?
At a bar. And we immediately started pouring our life stories out to each other. I don't know how. I don't remember why. But we just like, somebody said something and someone said something back. And it was like, my mom's an alcoholic. Well, my mom's an alcoholic. My mom hasn't raised me. My dad didn't raise me. My this, my that. Like we just started to kind of
deep.
We went deep
Yeah.
at the club.
Yeah.
Very, very, very fast.
Found love in a hopeless place.
Yeah,
literally.
we did. Exactly. No, I mean, it's and what's funny is that for years I was embarrassed to say that we met at a bar. I'd be like, oh, we met through mutual friends. To this day, it's been 25 years. We do not have one person in common. If we hadn't met at the bar that night, we may not have ever met. I don't know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
That's pretty.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was just one of those things that was meant to be?
I think so. I mean, I think that marriage is a combination of, meant to be at the time. I think you meet when you decide to stick with someone, you do it based on what you know about yourself and what you want for your life at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot anticipate what's going to happen or what it's going to be like or how you're going to get through it or how you're going to navigate any of it. So I just think that it was meant to be then, and then we made it work. So I think it was meant to be that we meet people like each other because we both had the similar backgrounds, different but similar.
Mm-hmm.
We both had the same work ethic. That's probably why I started talking about work. We both had the same drive, and our number one goal individually, and then it became together, was to restart and build the life that we wish that we had had growing up.
That's really sweet.
And I always say, like, to regrow a family tree. We really needed it. We came from multiple divorces. I'm an only child. He had one sibling. Like, we don't come from big families. And we both really wanted to create a tight family. And that's what we've done. It's unbelievable.
I mean,
how
that's
much has
insane.
gone into it. Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I'm like,
Hasn't
congratulations.
been easy. No, it's been the
is
hardest
hard.
thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't know what the hell you're doing. We didn't know anything about being married. When we hit hard times, when we didn't think we were going to make it, because I don't know, I would assume most marriages, every marriage I know has hit times when you're like, I don't know if I can do this. And we hit some rough times earlier on, and everybody in our life from both sides, family, friends, the majority of people were like, so get divorced. Like, you'll be fine. Your kids will be fine. We did it. It's fine. Everyone will be okay. And there was something in us that just knew that's not what we wanted. It wasn't going to be okay. I didn't want my kids to be with I didn't want my kids to have a stepmom. I didn't want that for them. It was so hard for me, and same for him. He didn't want. We just made it work. And we love each other obviously a lot, and we're best friends. But how we got this far, it's a freaking miracle.
That is amazing. I mean, so crazy. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, from meeting in a bar and not having any reason to have met, it's pretty remarkable.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about dating in general, because I'm 26 and a lot of people that listen to this podcast are around my age, in our mid 20s or young 20s, and dating is hard.
It's so hard.
I'm sure you know,
I can't
living
wait to talk about
vicariously
this. I've got a lot
through
of
Ellie.
opinions
Okay.
And a lot of theories that I've been thinking about lately when it comes to your generation and your age group.
Okay, I would love to hear that.
Okay.
Knowing what you know about dating these days and having a successful marriage yourself, what advice would you give a young girl like me who is trying to find someone to date for realsies and take someone seriously?
I've been giving this advice a lot lately, which is that you have to make decisions about who you're getting in a relationship with or who you're even pursuing dating with based on what you want your future to look like. So if you are at a point when you're thinking like, hey, this next guy I get into a relationship with could be the one, then you need to start looking for someone who has the qualities and the potential for what you want later, not for what you necessarily want now. Like I said, my husband was not my type. I could have not talked to him very easily. I don't know what made that moment different. You're not ready for anything when it happens for the most part. But I do see that, I think that your generation in general, I hate saying that because it makes me sound old, but I think millennials too have been a little bit tricked into thinking that they need to find that perfection exists and that there's a perfect guy and you're going to meet someone who like matches my energy and has the same exact values that I have and wants the same thing and the same drive and is at the same level at the same exact time and we're just completely aligned, and that just doesn't exist. So obviously you don't want to slouch. You don't want to be with somebody who's behind the 8 ball in life or who's a loser. You don't want somebody who's like, I mean,
No
you gotta
losers in
find a good
2024.
guy. But so that's the first part. So I think that like seeing the potential in someone versus like expecting for them to have it all figured out right now
In this moment.
but make sure that like their life plan is part of your plan too.
It's like a parallel.
It's a parallel, but I think that the trick is that everyone's got to have it all figured out, and you're going to know exactly how it's going to be based on what you know right now. Like you have no idea what's going to happen. And as long as you see all the potential, then I think you can grow from that. You need to trust that they're going to keep it on track. And again, what I mean by what you want later is that attraction fades. It comes and goes. You know, all the stuff that initially like really gets you excited when you first meet someone. I mean, all of that needs to exist to a certain point. I'm not saying settle on like somebody that you don't want to make out with, but just think about who this guy's going to be later and go for a nice guy. That was the other part. I feel like I'm getting off track, but find a nice person, like a nice guy who's not going to mess around. It's hard to be attracted to a nice guy sometimes. I don't know that that's an easy thing for girls to do, for young women to do. We're not programmed to like the guys that are nice to us. We find that like there's something wrong with them.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. It's our own self-esteem. It's the way maybe like movies have programmed our brains, books. I have no idea. I've given this a lot of thought because I'm like, why do we like jerks? Why do we want to chase guys? Why can't we let a guy be nice to us? I can honestly say my husband is the first guy ever. Well, no, he's not the first guy that was ever nice to me. He's the first guy that I ever let be nice to me.
Wow.
And that's a huge choice.
Why do you feel like you let him in particular be nice to you?
I really appreciated that he had a plan. He was like, come with me. I got a plan. Now, in hindsight, I look back and I have definitely resisted that plan at times. I was like, I have my own plan, or I've been resentful of his plan. I mean, we lived a life that he planned more than we lived the life that, like I said, I never wanted to live in California, but I ended up living in California. I've built a beautiful family and I have a really great life that I'm grateful for, but it wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
I think there has to be some compromise. If you can find someone that wants to do the exact same thing that you want to do and, you know, you can make that work, I think you should try. But I really respected that he had his shit together. He was like, I have a plan. He was super responsible financially. I was not. Yeah, no, I was
That's
not.
hot.
I was not. And I didn't grow up around that. I told you we had like a lot of instability, and it was like we either had it or we had nothing. And it was so stressful. And I always tried to pretend that everything was okay, especially growing up in just like a north suburb of Chicago. I just was always really ashamed of that. So I loved that he was like, I've got it figured out. I'm going to take care of us and we're not going to go without. I was more vulnerable to that at that age. So I made choices based on the context of my own life. But what I can tell you now, 25 years later, is that nobody's perfect. There is no perfect match. You can find the person that's best suited for you, but you'd be better off meaning at that moment, but you should really be looking at the type of person who they're going to become later on and just choose really nice.
What are specific characteristics or qualities young women should be looking in men as far as like a great potential partner? Like, I know you mentioned them having a plan, but what are other things you should pay attention to?
Well, I will go back to being nice. I'll say
Yeah,
it.
being
Number
nice.
one, like be a good guy, be a nice guy, be like the nice guy. When it comes to money, and this is interesting, I just had a conversation with someone we know through Ellie's business. She's around your age, and she's dating a guy who is extremely nice, but very uptight about money. And that is my husband. He was so uptight about money, especially when we were younger. And it was such a turnoff to me. And I resisted it. And I was like, and we made, I made a lot. We made about the same amount of money, and we both had really successful careers. He was so frugal and so on top of our money. And you say hot, but when you're married to it, you're like, ugh, like, shut up. I don't want to hear about it. You don't want to be that wife who's like hiding expenses and like carrying your bags in through the garage and like shoving it in, the laundry room and whatever. And when I look back at that time and how resistant I was and how much I couldn't stand it, I wish that somebody would have said, you should respect that and appreciate that in him so much, and you should make it attractive, because God forbid he wasn't like that, you would be broke.
So
and
true.
You know what's worse is being old and broke. Like being broke sucks, but being old and broke is a nightmare and a terrible way to plan your life. And now I look at my husband and I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for protecting our future and for thinking about it constantly.
What other characteristics do you think young women should look for in a man?
Paying attention to the way he treats his family and the people in his family is very important. Like my husband was so nice to his mother, despite a lot of stuff she put him through, and she was, heart of gold, but had a lot of problems. And he was so devoted to her. He was
awesome.
So devoted to her, so patient with her, so loving. And the same with all the women in his family. He was so patient and he was so nice to them. And at the time when I was young, I was like, why are you so nice to her? She's such a bitch to me. And not his mom, his stepmom.
Yeah.
People like that. And, back then, hindsight's 20/20. But, you're territorial when you're younger.
Absolutely.
Now I look back and I'm like, that was such a great quality. Those are just one of his good qualities.
Taking the high road.
Yes. Yeah. Taking the high road. You have to you also need to look for a guy who's going to make you number one at the end of the day. I don't think my husband understood that at first. It wasn't until his grandma, who had been married for 60 years, said, your wife is now your number one priority and whatever she says goes. So you always pick your wife first. If there's family problems, if there's anything, if she doesn't get along with one of your friends, somebody offends somebody, like it's your wife. And he listened.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately is, again, how I feel like young women and, your age to women in their mid-30s are making decisions based on kind of the present and themselves, and then they're getting screwed. They're waiting too long to settle down. They're waiting too long to find a guy because their standards are high, because they're working, making. They're totally finding that independence. Don't get me wrong, 100%. They should try and do that. The worst feeling ever is not being able to take care of yourself if you need to. But just because you can doesn't mean that you have to and should all the time. Like, I feel like it's happened. And I'm seeing it a lot with my friends who have kids who are older and maybe had kids a little younger than I did. I had my kids when I was 30 and 31. And I have friends who are older than me. Their kids have waited to get married in their early 30s or try to even start thinking about getting married in their early to mid 30s. And then by the time they're ready to have kids, they're pushing 40 and they can't. It's just too hard. They can't get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh. And so I think if you know you want to have a family, that goes back to kind of your original question. If you know that you want to have a family and you know you want to have a guy that's a good dad and a good provider, and like make your choice based on, as much as you can, make that choice based on your future now, instead of like a lot of the other things. Like find a guy who you think is going to be aligned later.
Yeah.
But when I met my husband, he was like, I want to have a family. I definitely want to, have kids. I want to be a great dad. It's the most important thing. And I felt the same exact way. And I still was able to work. I had a great career. He had a good career, but we did have to make some sacrifices, even career-wise at times, because we had kids.
One thing that I think people struggle with, though, living in a big city is like, yeah, it isn't really normal to get married really even before 30 in a big city. And to your point, like the whole being fertile and like trying to get pregnant and stuff, that's a whole other, ball game. But the thing is like in a big city, no one, especially men aren't taking anyone seriously.
If you know you want to have a family, you should probably figure out when you want to like make changes in your life to find the right person and settle down with to have a family. Because once you get to a certain point, you can't get that time back. Not that this was meant to be a scary conversation about fertility, but like you cannot go back. I mean, yeah, of course you can do all the treatments and you can do, you can get a surrogate, you can adopt. There's lots of options, right? But if you know you really want to have your own family, that comes with sacrifice. It comes with making decisions. It comes with choosing someone who you're maybe not 100% sure, but you're not ever going to find that. Marriage is hard. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do. Raising kids is one thing. Marriage is a whole other
Do you think marriage
thing.
is harder than raising kids?
Absolutely.
Really? Why?
Yeah. Unless you have no parental instinct, not in a bad way. You know how I describe marriage? It's a choice. You decide you want to be married, you act like it. If you decide you don't want to be married, you act like it. So everyone goes through phases where they don't act like it and they're fighting all the time and they're finding ways to make it not work or to resist. Not everybody, but a lot of marriages. And the other choice is like, I want to be married, I want to stay together. And you get older and wiser and you realize that the alternative is not better, that the grass isn't greener, that it would be really hard to break up a family. But even if you don't have a family, it's just, it's hard. Dating is hard at any age.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I fear that I've gotten a little too comfortable being alone.
You have.
Yeah.
You do.
I fear that
Well, what's dating like now for you?
I mean, right now it's pretty like non-existent. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't even really think about, like right now I'm so work focused, which is awesome. And I'm like building this career and I'm so grateful to like be in this position and have the opportunities that I've gotten. But like in the back of my head, I'm like, shit, like I'm building this awesome career, but I don't want to build it and get to where I want to be and not be able to celebrate it with anyone.
Yeah.
And I would love to build it with someone, but like, it's hard because there's so many options. The apps are crazy. Like the algorithms on the apps suck. Like you said, when there's so many options, like it's hard for people to settle down.
Anything is possible. I'll just say, again, I'm not trying to offer all these scare tactics. It's not. It's just reality that like if you get to a stage where you're like, what I'm doing isn't working, I've tried and tried and tried, and now I'm at the age where I'm getting a little bit restless and or a little bitter and or a little bit skeptical. We don't want that.
I think that is the key, is recognizing when your pattern isn't working.
Yeah.
And the reason I haven't fully given up on like LA or just dating in LA, because I feel like I haven't even given it a true shot.
How long have you been here?
I've been here for 8 years.
Okay.
But like as of recently, I've been like, okay, I actually do kind of want a boyfriend. Like it has been a long time since I've been like, I seriously want a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been like, it's been on the horizon to take dating more
Good.
seriously because I haven't been at all. And I've truly haven't given it a shot. Like I haven't been putting in, when people say like, you just got to put in the reps,
Is
like
there
go
a
on
reason?
dates. Yeah, I think like a lot of things like time, work, fear of rejection. It also like to the time aspect, it's annoying when you like do go on a few dates and it's like that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like it's just discouraging.
Yeah. I can't even imagine going on 2 years straight of consistent first or second or third dates. And
I have friends that they've done that. They put in the work. I'm like, you deserve this more than anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because that's not, I haven't done that. And that's why I feel like I've gone a little too comfortable like being on my own because I truly haven't like put in the reps when it comes to dating. I don't feel like I'm so burnt out from dating. I feel like I haven't even fully started. Okay, I want to shift gears a little because we've been talking about dating for so long. I want to talk a little bit about you being a mom because I feel like I look at you and Ellie as being this iconic mother-daughter duo, but I feel like you are really doing the whole mom being on the internet thing right. And a lot of parents don't, in my opinion. Yeah, this is just my opinion. So what are life lessons that you have instilled into your children that you feel like should be instilled into everyone?
I had a motto that when my kids got out of the car and I dropped them off at school every day, I would say the same thing every day. Work hard, be nice, and don't take any crap.
Okay. And where'd you get that from?
I made it up.
Okay, you made it up.
But I realized as a mom pretty early that if you take crap in your life, I mean, I'm from Chicago. We're from Chicago. We're from the Midwest. Yeah. We don't take anyone's crap.
We're from the Midwest. Of course we're not going to take crap from anyone.
We're not going to take your crap. Yeah, exactly. So I just realized when my kids were little that you can either try to be everybody's friend and try to make everybody like you and try to and take a bunch of crap while you're doing it. Or you can have your own standards and you should be nice to people, but you just shouldn't put up with, being bullied. You shouldn't put up with being mistreated, and you need to learn how to decipher that. You need to understand. And I think that's lost with a lot of moms where they want their kids to get along with everybody. I don't understand that. I don't understand going into the world and having the expectation that you're going to get along with everyone and that everyone's going to like you and you're going to like them too. That's just not realistic. Mm-hmm. So figuring out how to navigate that by being nice and not letting it distract you, and obviously continuing to work hard and just don't put up with crap. I think if I didn't instill that in Ellie in particular, she would have never made it past her first week on TikTok. There's just no way.
Yeah.
There's no.
You deal with a lot of crap on the internet.
And her in particular, I mean, she's taken a lot. She continues to take it. I don't know how she's built for it. But at the end of the day, thinking that what's important to you should matter to anybody else just kind of creates a crutch. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, or ugly. And you just need to really look out for you. Mm-hmm. And don't expect that people are going to pick up your slack.
Totally. I love that. I want to talk about Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Does it get any better the older you get dealing with Mean Girls?
No, I don't think so. What changes is not necessarily that the mean girls go away. It's that you get rid of them and you just, I have a friend that says you weed your garden on a regular basis. And
I love that saying.
I've given up quite a few friends over these later, years in the last 5 years because there's just nothing there. And you get to a place in your life where the idea of spending time with people that you don't enjoy being with sounds so unpleasant. And I would just rather be by myself than be with people that I don't really enjoy being with, or that, most importantly, that I don't feel safe with. Mm-hmm. So if
that's great.
that's a big thing for me, is like feeling safe in a friendship. So for example, I still stayed in touch with some of the mom friends, the raising kids mom friends. We've known each other since our kids were in kindergarten, and you know, we still have this common bond. And I realized that I felt like, especially because of Ellie and her career on social media, they were all talking about me. And I would get glimpses of it where they would, like, we'd go for coffee and she's like, oh, yeah, we were at like a thing. And so was like talking about whether Ellie was going to college or what, da, da, da. And I'm like, that's interesting, because if you were really my friend and this happened a month ago, you would have picked up the phone and called me and told me on the spot that someone was gossiping about me. And to me, that's not what friends do. So we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah.
I don't feel safe with you. So I don't know what I'm telling you that you're going to share at your next book club. And I don't know. I just like, if I don't feel like we're really that connected and we're meeting once a quarter for coffee and you have these like little moments where you like slip in that people were talking about me from our neighborhood,
behavior.
then I'm not safe with you, and this does nothing for me.
So in the Midwest, the thing is with the moms is the Bible studies.
Okay.
But AKA shit talking gossip group.
Yeah.
Like, and the irony of it being called a Bible study is hilarious. It like
totally.
couldn't be funnier.
Of course.
Because it literally is Bible study, AKA gossip group. Like, it's insane.
Of course.
It's insane.
And it feels so ugly. Now, listen, that's probably why I don't think I can go back to the Midwest, because I've thought about it. I've been like, maybe when we retire, we'll like go to the Midwest half the year.
It's catty in a different way.
This is very tricky about growing up and becoming an adult, is when you spread your wings and you go off into the world and you do a whole bunch of really cool things, like, and then you build a persona, you build a following, you become a public figure in your case, like all these things change. And so it's very difficult to go and relate to people who have never left and never taken chances and never taken any risks, or maybe those opportunities didn't come their way. Whatever it is, it's like, finding a relationship is hard later in life, depending on what you've done with yourself and your life and your career. It's hard to fall into a good friend circle. I think that's why the old friends count and mean so much.
Yeah.
If they're still your old friend, I mean, cherish them.
That's the best.
Cherish them.
My childhood friends, there's no one that makes me laugh more or understands me more, because those are the people that actually know me and know I'm literally the same.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are there for me and show up for me or whatever. But I do also have like a few ride or dies that are like in the industry that I'm so blessed and grateful to have. But the older I get, the more sparse they are, and like, quality really over quantity.
Yeah.
And I'm really understanding the difference between an acquaintance and a true friend. And that was at first a hard pill for me to swallow, because I was like, wait, like these are my friends, but like the reality is they're my acquaintances, and that's fine.
You know what's interesting is I like that you said that, because I think what I'm lacking now is more acquaintances to just do things with. That's where I was saying I'm kind of in this mode where I want to make new friends.
Okay.
And I'm like, do I start playing tennis?
Yeah.
I don't really want to do pickleball. It doesn't I mean, it's fun, but it's not my
I
thing.
love pickleball.
I love it too, but I just don't know that I want to do
Yeah.
pickle. Maybe I will.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking a lot about this need for like what I had with the mom groups.
Yeah.
But now in the empty
Your
nest.
extracurricular friends.
Yeah, like the more social friends. Maybe it is a book club. Maybe
Yeah.
it is a sports thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it is something, because I'm so much more mature and wiser, but also because I'm so mature and so wise, but like I'm older and wiser, and also my it's less complicated because our kids aren't involved. Having mom friends and when your kids are friends, it's so
whole
stressful.
new level of competition.
Oh my God, it's competitive.
Weird.
And it's
Can't imagine.
catty, and if the kids have an issue, then it turns into a mom issue. It's impossible for it not to.
Yeah.
I mean, Ellie and I, we had a mother daughter situation, it was like a nightmare at times. And we all really loved each other.
Yeah.
But if the girls got in a fight, then she and I would get in a fight. Or if she and I disagreed on something, we're all really strong personalities, then the girls would suffer. And it was just too much.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, I just want to like small talk and brag about my kids and, our husband, complain about our husbands and, do regular lighthearted stuff. Like, I just want that. I just want to keep it
will
really
say,
light.
in the last year, I really have nurtured those like, my pickleball friends, my like artistic friends, my fashion friends, my like event friends. I literally have people that I call my event friends. And it's like, I only see you at events. And I love that. And like, we can have our small talk and like catch up. But like, it's not going ever that deep. And it's like, we're always like supportive and here and there. But it's like nothing like where it would like hurt me if you moved away and like, you know what I mean? It's not.
Talk
it's not
to Ellie
that deep.
about this. I think you
Maybe
did,
we
and
did.
she learned. She really liked that you said that because I've said to her, you can put your friends in boxes, right? There are different friends. Like I used to say, like there are girlfriends that you can like go out all night with and tear it up that are on your level,
like your party friends.
Your party friends, and then there are friends that you will never go out with, that you only go shopping with, or you only like go to brunch with, or friends that you only talk on the phone with, that you've just known forever and you just have the best phone conversations, but you don't ever see each other.
Yeah.
It's okay to have all those different friends. It's when you're like wanting more from a friend, or I don't know.
Expectation.
It's just the expectation.
Yeah. The
which
second
is kind
is
of depressing, but But not if you've got a few of your ride or dies and you really appreciate and like,
as long as you have
them.
like one or two people you can ultimately feel safe with in your life, I think like that's the key. And then once I just started like essentially branding my friends, I'm like, okay, like these are my pickleball friends, these are my podcasting friends, these are my event friends, and like these are my influencer friends, and then these are my non-disclaimer friends, which those I think are really important to have. What is
a non-disclaimer friend?
There's someone I don't have to disclaim anytime I bring them anywhere. So I could bring them to one of my friends, Emily June. I'm like, oh my God, you are such, like, this is how I know I'm tight with you, because I don't have to disclaim anything to you or disclaim you to other people. So like, we could go like to the shittiest dive bar ever and I would never have to disclaim it to her. She would have a great time and she would have a great attitude and she would be the best. But I could take her to like the most expensive bougie Oscars party and I wouldn't have to disclaim anything to her because I know she would be on her best behavior and I know she would be a blast.
Yeah.
And vice versa. There's nothing worse than someone you have to disclaim to another friend group. Like when someone comes into the group and you're like, sorry, like I promise they're not an asshole, but like they might be type of thing. Like, I don't fuck with that. I don't have time for like people like that in my life where I'm like, I have to disclaim them like 80 million times. Like they might be rude to the waiter.
Like, I know. Like, I had a friend like that. You know what I mean? She was the mom I was just talking about. I would
it's like I don't want to have to disclaim you or disclaim people before you come.
I call them everything friends. Like they can do everything.
They can do everything.
They can do everything.
And I always think like I'm so grateful for my hometown friends because like they truly can like get out in the mud and like go camping and do the thing, but they can also like I could take them to a really expensive bougie like you know party or whatever or gala or whatever it is, and like those are like your ride or dies.
But I had a friend like that and I know what you're talking about.
But it's the best because you can rely on them and trust them to walk into any room and have a good time and not throw a temper tantrum.
Totally.
Like anyone that's a grown adult and is like going into a room and they like don't like the vibe, so they like complain and throw a temper tantrum. I'm like, absolutely
or
not.
Threatened, or they're uncomfortable, or they're anxious. I know Ellie's struggled with that where, you know, she's invited girlfriends to go on like brand trips with her or to go to events.
That's hard. It's hard to pick who to bring.
That's why I think for so long it's been
you.
me because I can talk to the PR girls. I was a PR girl. It's not as fun for her at times. I mean, we have a good time together.
Yeah.
But she was also she's always been on the younger side. So now that she's getting a little older, it's different. But she's tried to take girlfriends on these brand trips and they're so overwhelmed.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And we're like, oh, what's the big deal? Like, you know, all the stuff and all the this and how you have to look and what you have to pack and how you have to put yourself together and all the free stuff and all of this. And you're just like, it's part of the deal and it's so fun. And it's very
definitely a first world problem, by the way.
It's
so everyone knows.
1,000%. And I was going to say that like maybe it's not so much taking it for granted. It's just like, this is just, part of the deal. It's intimidating. And I always say that I just said this to a friend the other day. We were talking about Ellie and her relationships. And I said, can you imagine having a friend at 18, 19 years old who lives her life? Could you even imagine? I don't know that I could keep a friend if I was just like, living in a dorm or working my job and living.
You have
my
to be a
normal
really
life.
secure, confident,
It's very hard
person
very
to be
hard
friends
to be
with.
around it. Yeah, and that's why I really appreciated the everything friends. Because I had this big job, I traveled all over.
They're down to
I had
clown.
a big expense account at the time. That was my PR. My free stuff. And I think that it was the friends that just appreciated it and were along for the ride, and they just rolled with it. It's the best. And I imagine you have to find the same.
Which ultimately is a testament to their security in themselves and their self-confidence and in who they are, because no one that isn't secure in themselves is going to act poorly.
Goes back to what I said, though. We don't have to be friends with everybody. We don't have to be not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like me, and vice versa. And also some friends are just chapter friends.
Seasons.
Totally. I say chapter and book. Some friends are in your whole life book, and other friends are just chapter.
Oh, I love that.
Or chapters. But not everybody's meant to be your book, your whole book. And most people aren't. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of our book, I think it's coming to an end.
I know. Oh my gosh. I know. I feel like I'm talking too much.
No, I loved this conversation with you, and thank you so much for instilling such wisdom in us today and sharing all of your life experiences. It was truly,
thank you.
Truly a treat.
Me. I hope I'm going to walk away and be like, I don't even remember anything that I said, but I'll stand by it.
Yes, and I'm so excited for you. We didn't even really talk about your own social media, which, by the way, you guys have to follow her. You're one of my favorite accounts to follow.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing everything.
Thank you.
And
I'm so glad to be here.
Thank
you. I don't know if anything that I said was helpful, but I hope.
It absolutely was. Where can everyone follow you?
Sarah G. Zeiler. Somebody grabbed my other name, my real name, Sarah Zeiler.
Okay.
On Instagram, it's Sarah Zeiler. I don't post as much there. On TikTok, I post about skincare, makeup.
Love her TikTok videos.
Yeah, and then just like my life as a mom with my influencer daughter, and I take you on our travels. And
we hardly even talked about Ellie. Ellie Zeiler is her daughter. Yeah. I'm sure you all know that already. But anyway, it was so awesome having you.
Having me.
And
I can't believe we talked for this long.
I know. And be sure to make someone else's day this week, you guys. Peace.